Welcome to the highly anticipated third season of the Single Dads Unplugged, where we embark on the profound exploration of the unique challenges and triumphs faced by single fathers. This season, we delve deep into the realm of emotional resilience, unraveling the layers of strength that single dads exhibit as they navigate the complexities of parenthood on their own, from coping with the emotional rollercoaster of solo parenting to finding solace in unexpected places. Our episodes aim to inspire and empower single fathers on their journey. In Season 3, our focus extends beyond the individual, shining a spotlight on the invaluable bonds forged between single dads and their children. We bring you heartfelt stories of connection and growth, showcasing the remarkable ways in which these fathers nurture and strengthen the familial ties that define their lives. Moreover, we address the crucial intersection of financial and emotional well-being, offering practical insights and advice to help single dads not only survive, but thrive in their role as primary caregivers. As we navigate the intricate landscape of co-parenting challenges, our aim is to provide a supportive space for single fathers to share experiences and glean wisdom, fostering a sense of community and resilience in the face of adversity.
Welcome to the Single Dads Unplugged. This is Season 3. We are all about empowering dads become good fathers to their kids and helping them create bonds with their children as well. And at this time, I'd like to welcome Mthokozisi Nkosi to our episode. Thank you so much, my friend, and then good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
Great stuff, and I hope you found the place okay to get here, yes?
Yeah, I did. It was easy.
Was it easy?
Yeah.
That's great. Nice to chat with you, my friend. I know you were part of our Season 1, and we could not get a large conversation with you because you were busy running around, and we appreciate that. First off, just tell us a little bit about, I know you've got multiple roles. You are a speaker, you are an author, you are an entrepreneur, you are a vision artist, you are a creative artist. Tell us a little bit about how you balance all of this with parenting and with your professional life as well.
That one is simple for me because when I was born with these creative abilities from an early age.
Yeah.
So multitasking for me is not something that I find difficult to do or to pursue.
It's in your nature.
Yeah, it's all about finding the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, you balance everything in your life so that your life will be in order.
Great.
So growing up, I was very creative. I used to do music.
Ah.
Yeah, so that's where all my creative abilities came from, because I was writing poetry. At an early age at school, I used to love drawing.
Yeah.
I used to draw for my classmates and I would sell those images to them.
Yes.
Then as I grew older, I was actually shy when I was still young. Naturally, I'm very shy.
Yeah.
I don't speak a lot, but today it's amazing because through learning and developing certain skills, so it's turned around.
I see your following on social media, particularly on YouTube and TikTok, and it's amazing. I admire the type of content that you share.
Yes.
We're going to come to that later, but let's talk to you as a single dad. You've got 2 boys, right?
Yes, I've got 2
What's
boys.
the age?
9 and 6.
9 and 6.
Yes.
And they live with you?
No, they live with their mom.
With their mom?
Yeah.
Okay. How often do you see them?
I see them usually during school holidays because they are a bit far from where I stay.
Oh, during school holidays.
Sometimes during weekends, but I normally communicate with them on a daily basis.
That's nice. And I've seen some of the pictures you've shared on social media. They're beautiful. They are beautiful boys. And tell me, maybe share with us a little bit of history and how you've raised them and with their mom and how you've co-parented and what sort of challenges you've faced with and maybe some of the celebrations and the triumphs over the period of time. Maybe 9 years now?
Yeah. So I think I'd be doing a disservice if I don't first share my story.
Sure, go ahead.
Of how I understood fatherhood.
Okay.
Because I learned everything I know about fatherhood, what to do and what not to do from my late father.
Ah, okay.
So, because my father was an absent father.
Mm-hmm.
And then he only came to fetch us from my mom when I was about to go to high school.
Wow.
Because my mom was a domestic worker. And I realized at an early age, I think grade 7, that my mom was struggling a bit, and as I'm about to go to high school, she won't be able to afford some of the things. And then at that time, my dad would come and then sit down with my mom and asked that he could take us with him so we can stay with him in Tembisa.
Yes, oh, in Tembisa,
Ivory
okay.
Park. So I agreed, but I told my mom, because I know that my dad was not present in my life, but I told my mom, I'm only doing this for you.
Wow.
I don't want to go with this person because he's never been there for us.
He's not there
I'm
for
doing
you.
this for you. As soon as I finish high school, I'm coming back home.
Okay.
You see, so that's what the
So
only
you used to
reason.
come like just very,
Yeah.
very like ad hoc, and he
Yeah,
never
December,
lived with you.
and sometimes he would never come.
And you resented his behavior, obviously.
Yeah, I
you must have
resented his
learned.
behavior.
And you didn't want to repeat the cycle, I
Yes.
imagine.
But he made it worse
Okay.
back in the year 2009,
Yeah,
because then we sort of like had an argument with him.
yeah.
You know what a balloon does when you fill it with too much helium? Eventually it will explode.
It will burst.
So
yes.
my balloon exploded. We were sitting around the fireplace. It was winter, I remember.
Yeah.
And my dad had come home with one of his girlfriends, one of his new girlfriends, because my dad loved the ladies a lot. So
I hope you're not like that.
yeah, I know. That's why I say I learned from him what to do and not to
And
do.
what not to do.
So he said to that lady, I don't know, he was bragging
Yeah.
about things he never did for us.
Okay.
Because I think I had finished matric that time.
Yes.
That was in 2004.
Yeah.
And then, but that happened in 2009.
Yeah.
He said to that lady, you know, I've been taking care of these boys. You see them, how grown they are. It's all because of me and stuff. And then that balloon exploded. Then I disagreed with him.
Oh, in front of him.
Yeah, in front of him and in front of his girlfriend.
Wow.
And
How did he receive
Because I
that?
was angry. I grew up very angry, and I had that
And you
resentment.
are
Even
resentful.
though I stayed with him, he was there, but he was not present.
Okay.
You see, so he said something to me. What are you talking about? You know
Okay.
nothing. You're still young.
Still young.
And then I told him, no, but now I'm old enough to see what you're doing is wrong.
It's not right.
Right. And
Yeah.
he got angry. You know how parents are when you talk
Of
back.
course.
They take it as a sign of disrespect.
Disrespect.
And he
yeah.
said, yeah, you think you are older now.
You can talk back
You can
to me.
talk back to me.
Yeah.
You're no longer my son. I'm
Oh,
kicking you
wow.
out of my place.
He disowned
He
you.
disowned me.
Hmm.
And then I stayed for a while. But then after that, that became because it even became physical, because
Wow.
he even pushed me
He was
against
very,
the
very
wall.
upset.
He was angry at me.
Mm.
But I was telling him the truth. I didn't apologize for that.
Sure.
I couldn't apologize for the truth, because he
Yeah.
knew it was the truth. He was never there.
Yeah.
So after he disowned me, I stayed maybe for a month. I was in a learnership program.
Yeah.
I was getting 1.5, a stipend of 1.5 per month.
A month. Yeah.
So this is how I left. The following week, when I got paid, he was at work. Then I only walked out with nothing but my bag full of clothes.
Wow.
And I went to Tembisa, and I walked into an empty room
Mm-hmm.
with my heart full of hope. Even though I didn't know how I was going to make it, but I knew this was the beginning of my life.
Sure.
This was the beginning of my journey.
Mm.
It was tough. It was hard, because friends turned against me. Even family turned against me because they were against what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I knew what I was doing, and I pushed.
And your career
Yeah,
started.
Yes.
Like that.
At first, I kind of resented everything he did. But I told myself, okay, Mtho, you're facing this situation now. But what is the blessing in this?
Yeah.
Now the blessing is that now I would get to live my own life.
And be independent.
And be independent.
And make your own
and
decisions.
make my own decisions.
That must have
Yeah.
been a very big shift for you. Who was close to you during that time? Was mom still around at that time?
Yeah, mom was still around, but she was in Mpumalanga. My mom, let me tell you something. 'Cause my mom, we have this close relationship with her, because I always called her. I would go home and visit.
Yeah.
But that incident of my father disowning me,
Yeah.
I never told my mom.
Wow.
My mom knew after.
Oh, she was not there
Yeah, she was
when
not
he
there,
told you
because they
to leave
separated
the
when I
house.
was still very young.
Oh,
I think
I
I was 2
understand.
years or 3 years.
I understand.
Mm.
Okay.
So I told my mom after a year and a half when I went home, hey,
What had
Bella,
happened?
your ex disowned me. Yeah, and then she said, your father has always been like this.
She must have been
Yeah,
devastated.
she was. But
Yeah.
then at that time, I worked hard. I was working for a company called Bidvest Penaltina Logistics.
Bidvest, yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
So I was a claims administrator there. But I started through an internship program. At that time, when I told my mom I had been hired permanently, and I was getting paid better and was living better, a little bit better. And then after a year, after I got my first payment, I went to my father's place.
Yeah.
And my father loved soccer. He was a soccer coach. He had his own team. So I found him at a soccer field. And I pulled out 200 rand. And I gave it to him in front of his friends. I shook, like I was shaking his hand. The 200 was here.
In your
Then
hand.
I said, okay, take me call him.
Okay.
And then you find me home.
Wow.
And then I went home and I sat and waited for him for his match for his game
To finish. And then did he come back
then
home?
when he came back home, he immediately noticed ukuthi that was my sign of forgiving him. And he said something like in Zulu, mara, he said, Lotana, uyazi izinto zoniwa ngomlomo
Zilungiswa
zilungiswe
ngomlomo.
ngomlomo. And then I said, no, babe, I already forgive you. And I also forgave myself for the things
And
I
he
said
was a
to
different
you.
man, and
Yeah,
he was willing to talk to you again.
And then, but you know, that was the truth. And then he said, no, yeah, I was
He
not
knew that.
not there. I know, my son, I was not there. So please forgive me. And I forgave him.
Wow.
And then 2015, fast forward, my dad got sick and he passed away.
Ouch. Yeah.
Fortunately, we had forgiven each other because
Of course.
when he was lying on his
There was
deathbed,
closure, I would
yeah,
imagine.
he wanted to talk to me. But on the day when I was planning to visit him in hospital, that's when my sister called me in the morning and said, Mtho, ubaba ushonile. Yabona? So that was the first time I cried for him. I cried. Like, I was in the office, but I cried more when I told my manager about it. When my sister told me, I was like, okay. But when I started sharing it with someone, that's when I realized that sometimes talking helps. Because that's when I let everything out.
Yeah, and then
But,
I think you heal when you speak like this. Is a very amazing story. I think you've told me this story before, but it still hits different now because I realized that there was a need for you guys to get together and see and get the minds together and get closure. If we turn now to the time when you become a father yourself, your son was born. Did you live the first son? Did you live with him when he was born?
The first son, I lived with him and his mother.
Yeah.
And he was born
For a little while.
2014.
Yeah.
I think 2014, 2015, because I remember when my dad got seriously sick,
Yeah.
I took my son to him and he held him in his hand for the first time. And then after a couple of weeks, he passed away.
Okay.
But he noticed how good of a father I am to my kids.
I can imagine.
And how I love my boys. And he was also
And he
inspired
appreciated
by
that. He must have been inspired by it.
Yes. So that's when I realized, when I became a father, there's this Japanese art form that I once learned about called kintsugi.
Yes, kintsugi, yes.
Kintsugi is all about mending broken pieces with gold fillings.
Yeah.
So like I want you to imagine a bowl or even that cup you're holding in your hand.
Yeah.
That if you throw it down on the floor, what would you normally do with the pieces?
Yeah.
You pick them up,
You throw them away.
But not with kintsugi. With kintsugi, you put together all these broken pieces,
yeah.
and you glue them with liquid gold, therefore giving them golden scars.
Yeah.
So the lesson here is that all men are broken inside, but you don't know. My father was broken inside. I didn't know what was happening inside.
He
of
had
him.
so much potential
Yes.
to become something else.
So that's when I realized, no, my dad was human.
He made mistakes.
Yeah, he was not perfect. He made mistakes. I have my own son now. I'm gonna make probably.
You still make mistakes
I
even
still
now.
make
We all do.
mistakes.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is to sit down, talk, and ask for forgiveness if you need to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And be vulnerable as a man.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't
kills
work.
you inside.
It's about resilience.
Yeah.
This season is about resilience.
Yes.
And this season is also about empowering fathers become more vulnerable and just open up and share stories in such a way that we find help, because we've got a network of people that provide help. You know this.
Yes, I know.
So you lived with the mom for a little while, and then she had to move away. But let's stick with that story for the first son. And how was it like when now she was living somewhere else, or the son moved with her, and you had to remain in Johannesburg?
Okay, when she fell pregnant, I was excited. I don't want to lie and say I was stressed or scared of being a father. I was excited. I took it as a challenge because I had promised myself long before that I will never be to my son what my father was to me.
To you.
So I held on to that.
You had to change the narrative.
Yeah. So the problem now was that I was excited and I was ready, and she was not. You see.
Okay.
So she was angry.
Was she upset?
She was upset
when she fell pregnant.
Yeah, in such a way.
Actually, I'm going to come to that because I
Yes.
see in your book you talk about it started when she got pregnant.
Yes.
And I like that chapter.
Yeah.
Going to come back to that, but carry on, yeah.
Then she left to stay with her aunt around Joburg at the flats there. And now I got angry because now I want to be there for her and she's not
but
here now.
she ran away.
And, But I would, every now and then when she's there, she would send me text messages. I'm told I don't have food in. Then I would make sure when I get paid, I send them money. Because some men would get angry and then they don't send anything. Yeah, hambile yet, so
You don't
but
get
it
involved.
was not like that with me. So I was involved from when she was pregnant up until she gave birth. Even in the hospital the day my son was born, I was at work. And then I left work 10 o'clock and went to Johannesburg Hospital. I even took a picture holding my son.
Wow.
The
That's
day he was
amazing.
born. And I gave him the name Loazi.
Loaz.
Because
That's
Loazi
great.
for me means knowledge.
Okay.
So I saw it as an opportunity for me to learn more
To
about
gain
this journey
new
of fatherhood.
knowledge, yeah.
Yes. So and I
like
committed
that.
to being present.
So forward to the time when then you began to accept, both of you, that you're now
Yes.
parents. And now you have to nurture, help this person develop into a human being. How was that like for you? And how did it work? Did you sit down, make some parenting decisions together, or did you just like navigate it as you moved along?
I just navigated it because
There was no discussion.
I just went with the flow.
Went
but
with-
but the only thing I had was that I knew which I was committed to being present, and I was committed to facing whatever challenge I might face.
Okay.
And then as time went, that's when the relationship now between me and the mother.
So you were still together,
We were still
emotional
together,
at that time.
Up
So
until
how did it get sour
I
now?
think up until my son was 3 or 4 years.
3-4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. You know, sometimes women get emotional and stuff, and now
Yes.
where you're learning as a man, and your
They're also
communication
going through
skills,
stuff.
yeah, you're going through
Yes.
stuff, and you
And
don't-
both of you must
yeah.
have been young at that
Yes,
time, I imagine.
Yabon. And she was stressed, you were stressed, and we didn't know how to communicate well.
Okay.
And we did, because if I knew then what I know now, things would have turned out different.
Okay.
And then we had to break up.
All right. You broke up
Yeah.
when he was about 3 years. When
he
was he
about
was about
3, 4
3,
years,
4.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And then, as time went, we talked it over. We got back together again.
Oh, okay.
And then, boom, she fell pregnant with my second son. That time now, you see, when the first son was born,
Yes.
she was not ready.
The
When
second
the
time?
second born was born, I was not ready for that.
But she was.
But she was.
So, okay.
I'm the one who got angry that time now with issues.
Second time
And
around.
I remember I had just self-published my first book.
Your first book,
Yeah,
yes.
Step Out of Your Comfort Zone and Start Living Your
Yes.
Dream, which also talks about the story I just told you of my dad.
Yeah.
So I was trying to push my book. I didn't even get to launch my book
You were
because of that.
focusing
Because
on
now I know,
launching your
ish,
book.
now I
Yeah.
have to use this money. I had just resigned from the company I was working at
Yes.
2016
Yeah.
to pursue my dream.
Yeah.
And she didn't understand that. Yeah, that's when that's what broke us up. Because I came home and I told her I just resigned from my job.
Okay.
And then it started there. And then
That's
we ended
how
up,
it started.
Yeah, we ended up
Now
working
you're
out, yeah.
upset. She's happy.
Yeah,
Did you even now talk about what's the name of the second son?
Bandila.
Bandila.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Okay. So, but did you now sit down and decide how you're gonna raise both boys?
yeah, after some
from now
time,
on. Mhm.
but then again, after some time, I had to be okay with myself having a second son. So I knew which I had. Okay, the child is here now.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do.
You need to make it work.
I need to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And my son went into ICU, I think for 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And then
story.
I remember talking to this guy who was a pastor, and that guy told me to open up my heart and khululeke and accept the child
situation.
because he is
Yes.
affected by this emotional stuff happening between me
Between
and
the
his
two of
mom.
you. Yes.
So At that time, I was not allowed to see him when he was born. Only the mother was allowed to see him. So I stayed for that 2 weeks, and then when it was the second week, and then the nurse suggested to the mom to, I know, maybe we need to let the dad come see this boy and talk to him. This boy is gonna be fine. He just
He's
needs
gonna
his
be
father.
okay.
So
You
when
just
I went
needed
there,
your presence.
when I went there, the nurse came to me, pulled me to the side, and said, "When you get there, just talk to him, introduce yourself, tell him that you are his father,
You
and
love
him, hold his hand, and what." And that day, when I held my son's hand, he smiled. You know, when someone your eyes are shut, and then you smile like this.
Yeah.
And then he smiled.
Yeah.
Then I saw it. Yeah, I also became okay.
You had an impact,
Yeah, I had
and
an
you
impact,
felt better
yes.
as well.
I had an impact, and
So
it
from
became
then
painful.
on, did you then find that the co-parenting thing was working, or did
Then
you still have difficulties?
It still had difficulties. Remember now, she has a child, second child, and we broke
And
up
both
again.
boys were
Yeah.
living with her?
We're
Yeah.
living with her.
Okay.
And then when Bandila was born, she went to stay with her mom at Pretoria. And
Okay.
then later on, she came and stayed with me a bit at my place in Tembisa, my
Yeah.
father's place. And then the relationship got sour again because now, you see, when it comes to relationships, both parties must want to go to the same destination. Now I want to
It
go.
should be about the
yeah,
child.
I want to go there.
Yeah.
She wants to go there.
Okay.
When it should be like this.
Together,
We're
yeah.
together. So we had to break up because she was on her own journey.
So for the second time now?
It's second
Okay.
time. I was on my own journey. Then I moved to Davidton.
All right.
Yeah. Then from there on, we were still fighting. Even when I picked up my phone, when I saw her text messages, I would be, hey, what does she want?
You'd
now?
be very
You see,
upset.
like, sometimes some of the text messages I wouldn't even read because I had to like kuza myself. No,
Yes.
as in when she texts you like this, most people would be like, yeah, when are you doing
But
this
you
and that? And then
try
you're
and
passing the
remain
blame. And
calm.
that one.
Mm.
Then I said, as in, let me not put the blame on her. If she texts like this, I will delete the messages, not respond.
And work on
Then
yourself.
the next time I call, I just say, can I talk to the boys?
Yeah.
Then she'd be surprised how, I sent you a text, why didn't you respond? And then I told her, and then we started communicating. The reason why I didn't answer that text message is because whenever we talk, especially via WhatsApp, we always argue and we end up fighting, and that thing affects the boys.
I want to touch on the communication because in your book you also touch on it.
Yes.
I'm going to come to that. But first off, what inspired you to write the book, The Imperfect Father? And in this book you share some principles around
Yes.
becoming a better or a great dad. And maybe tell us a little bit about what inspired you to write the book.
So this book was inspired again by that story I just told about my father. You
Yes.
see, so in fact, both my books, they connect somewhere because
Yes,
the same
to
story
the
I
first
tell
one.
in the first book is the same story that inspired this book.
Yes.
Because I was thinking with men, there's a lot of men out there, because I had friends who were fathers who were not present in their child's life, who were not even allowed by their mother, by the mother of the child, to be present.
Yeah.
And I would normally advise them, no man, as in, this is your child, force them for it. No matter what she does, if you have akakuthuke, but when focus
You should be
on
there for the child.
Be there for the child. Because at the end of the day, all these absent fathers, when the child is grown and the child is successful now, they want to brag about you now.
They want to come back into your life.
So why not be involved now? Because as your child grows, they will remember what kind of a father were you.
Yeah.
You see. So
You know, the lady
inspired
that I
this book.
spoke to yesterday was saying the first 3 years of a child, 0 to 3 years, are very critical because that's when you form very, very strong bonds
Perfect.
with the child. And I'm glad that you were there for your boys from the beginning. Chapter 5 talks about responsibility, and you say here that involvement in a child's life is essential to complete that role. It's not just financial obligations, but providing a sense of spiritual growth, cultivating emotional and intellectual well-being.
Yeah.
That's quite powerful. So why, in your view, you always emphasize being present in a child's life, not just by being a deadbeat or just providing financially?
So for me, I noticed some of the lessons I learned from watching my kids grow.
Yeah.
I know that some fathers, they don't have that time for their kids. Some of them are even afraid of that
They
responsibility.
don't have time, or do they not make time?
They don't make time.
Okay.
Yabona? So that's why they end up running away from that responsibility. And then when you watch your kids grow and you see how happy they are, just when you play with your kids, play a computer game with your son.
Sure.
Because I was teaching Lwazi. Lwazi knew how to use a computer when he was 4 years old. Because I would sit there while I'm playing with the mouse,
He would
doing
learn.
my stuff, and then he would watch what I'm doing. He would watch what I'm doing and then imitate it. He would, when I walk out, he would come closer to the mouse and then look at the screen and see, oh, this is it. This is what dad is doing here. And so I saw with kids learn from you, your behavior.
And they observe a
They
lot.
observe
yeah.
a lot. And they can't observe that if you are not a responsible dad. The responsible
Yeah.
dad is a present father, not a father who just
But
gives
how did
presents.
that impact, as soon as you got involved or more involved at doing activities with them together, playing with them, how did that impact them as young kids, emotionally, psychologically? Otherwise, have you observed changes
Yes.
in the way they are developing?
Yes, because my kids love me. I don't want to lie. I can
That's
say
great.
that with
One of the
utmost
luckiest
confidence. My kids love me.
Okay.
And no matter where you take them, they know that Mthokozisi is our dad. Because even when they are playing with friends, they would just prefer to play with me.
So they are
Yeah, well,
used to that bond.
They're used to that bond, of
and
playing
and
with
how
me.
they relate to you now,
Yeah.
has that strengthened the relationship between you and them?
Yes, it has, because they would even send me voice notes.
On their
You
phones?
see, last year I have a lot of voice notes that I've saved in my PC.
Okay.
Just so that when they grow up, I would make them listen
You'll
to
make
that.
them listen to
And
them, yeah.
I make sure that I take a lot of pictures with them so that we keep that memory. Because I never had the pictures of me and my dad when I was little. I only
Yeah,
have the
me
pictures
as
of me and
well.
my
I
dad
don't
when
have.
I'm a bit older. So
Yeah.
I want them to have that, to feel that. With my dad was always there. You need proof, per evidence, that you were there. You can tell them,
and
but
you
if-
create and you
yeah.
build it. And that's why I like it. So I follow you on social media, because with everything you do professionally, you're creating memories, and
Yes.
it's those moments that are going to be important for your kids
True.
when they've grown up. But how has that bonding impacted the relationship you have with the mom? Although you're not together,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about co-parenting relationship.
Yes.
Has it improved? Is it better than before?
Yeah, it's better than before, because I had to sit it down. We even talked probably on the phone. Then I told her, I would see, look, because she even sent me a text last year thanking me for being the father that I am to the boys.
Oh, did she?
Because
Oh,
she
that's
even said, I'm
great.
glad I had kids with you and not someone else. Because the way you love your kids, Mtho, really inspires me, and I appreciate everything you do. Yabona. Even when you don't have anything, whatever you have, you share with them. Yabona. And then that thing that also inspired me, because she can see from the boys with how much they love me as well. Because they also remind her, would say, can we talk to
Sure,
Dad?
she's leaning in and getting
Yes,
more
can we talk
involved.
to Dad? And then she would give
And
them,
also she appreciates your
and then she would
involvement.
give them the phone, place it on a desk somewhere, and then they would come on a WhatsApp video call, and we always talk. We always talk.
So the co-parenting journey is almost seamless now,
Yeah, it's
and
almost
it's
seamless
benefiting
now.
the kids.
Yes.
And you always say to me, it should always be about the interest and the needs of the child.
Of the child. Yeah.
In chapter 6, you begin to talk about encouraging open communication between parents, and then you delve into the realm of making space to communicate with your partner. In fact, on this page, I actually highlighted this. Children will always find themselves unconsciously modeling the behavior of their father when it comes to communication. And certainly some fathers can be extremely intimidating.
Yeah, that's
How
true.
about you? So you don't seem or appear to them as intimidating. That's why you've created that friendship.
That friendship.
And
So
then
that they can
you
come to me with anything. Because even my son will
Yeah.
come to me, Dad, I'm not okay here and there. Because I remember once when they
and it's
visited
easy
me,
for them to
when they
reach.
visited me, Lwazi brought
Yeah.
some of his homework with him. They give them holiday homeworks. And then when he visits, he usually comes with his school bag. Then I would set up the time with, okay, I would sit him down and say, Lwazi, okay, at 12 o'clock,
Yeah.
you must come back so we can do your homework. Then he'll be like, Dad, I'm still playing. I say, I know, come on. And then you will play after.
And you do it together, and then they can play after.
If you don't do your homework, I won't allow you to go out. Then he would be like, okay, I'll come back. And then he would keeps on coming and asking, Dad, is it 12 o'clock? Like, no, just play. And then I would call him, and then he would sit. Then we would do his homework. And he once said, yo, Daddy, I like the way you teach me.
Wow.
Because I understand.
So they do give you feedback, and they do appreciate the work you do.
They even send me voice notes, Daddy, we are praying for you. Sakuthandazela ukuthola imali eningi. So that warms my heart, knowing that my kids pray for me. You see, who would want to miss that?
That's
what
amazing.
Kind of a father would want to miss
and that's
that.
why it's so important to be in the child's life. I was talking to my other friend who's not in part of this season, that even if the mother blocks access to the child, you can, especially when you can communicate with the child yourself, you can go directly to them. Don't always seek permission from the mother, because they may or can block it. If the child is old enough to communicate with you directly, find direct contact with them, and then form that bond. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that, because when you do that, your kids will respect you. But one thing that the mother of my kids did was, she said something, because when we used to fight and argue and stuff, she said to me, I ended up telling myself, you know what, this guy is going to be a part of my life for the rest of my life. So fighting him doesn't help anything.
It's not going to work.
Let me just talk to him respectfully and change my approach, because I changed my approach first. Because they say if you want people to change, you don't change people, you change yourself first.
You change
and
yourself.
everything around you.
That's why you always say, work on yourself as a father, and the rest is gonna fall in line. I want to touch briefly on the financial stuff, and I think you told me a story at some point during our conversation that sometimes the mom would make financial decisions without involving you at the early stages of your parenting journey. How does it work now? Do you have sit-downs where you discuss, school decisions, how you're going to raise your kids, where you're going to raise your kids, which kind of schools they would go to? Does that happen right now?
Yeah, that one, I think that's the one that hasn't changed, because
I
remember when we had our last conversation.
Yes.
I told you about that she took my kids to a private school without informing me.
I remember that.
And that was that's when the first COVID-19 lockdown hit.
During COVID?
Yes.
Okay.
Then even when I told her, which I can't afford a private school, she still put him in a private school.
Without you agreeing to
then
it?
She sent me a message that I must pay, 1.5 or 2,000 per month school fees. Then I was like, hey dude, I don't have that money. I can assist in any other way, but that one is on you.
But the decision was already decided.
She was like, okay, no problem, because I'm working, I will pay the school fees and you can assist with transport.
With transport,
okay. Then I ended up assisting.
But that was in retrospect, so it wasn't an initial discussion.
Yeah, but she had already decided.
How are you turning that around now?
She had decided, and like last year we were talking with her again.
Yeah.
And I thought, because this year it was worse. But at least I spoke to her.
Oh, this year it happened again?
Yeah, because...
Okay.
Last year, not this year.
Oh, last year.
Because there was a time when I sent a message. Because her mom was staying at Centurion.
Yeah.
And then I said, I want to come visit the boys. I want to talk to my boys.
To the boys, yeah.
And then I remember during January last year, when I called her and asked, can I video call the boys? She would make an excuse with it. No, my phone is broken. My phone is on the charger. They have load shedding here. And then I ended up giving up making that call, because now she's not allowing me to talk to the kids.
Yeah.
And then this year, last year when I talked to her mom, their grandmother.
Oh, the grandma.
Yeah, I said, I want to come visit my boys. This weekend, can I come fetch them or come see them? And then her mom sent me a message. Remember, all along I thought my kids were in Centurion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can come. It's easy getting here. We are in Northwest. The moment I saw Northwest, all along I thought my kids were here and they're in another province.
So that is why she didn't allow you.
That's why she didn't let me speak to them, because they were not there. And then when I spoke to her, she explained it to me, because she said this year
what was the explanation?
She I think it's something personal between her mom and
herself.
And her lifestyle and stuff.
Oh, all right.
So she told me, what happened, and then I understood. But then I told her, because she said to me she wants to bring them back this side,
Okay.
so that they can be close. I said, okay, that's a good idea, because going to Northwest was going to be
It's
a
going to be
hassle
difficult
me.
for you.
So
Yeah.
she said, okay, I'll bring them back. And then I saw that as an opportunity for me to ask her about the reason why she took them there in the first place.
In the first place.
Yeah, and then
yes.
she said, yo, I'm told this is what happened. I'm sorry. She apologized.
Okay.
She said, I'm sorry. I didn't know how to tell you.
Okay.
Because
So where are the boys right now?
the boys are with her now
But where?
in Centurion.
Oh, in Centurion.
Yeah,
So,
Centurion.
and then the
Yeah.
go-go,
Go-go is in
is still in
Northwest.
Northwest.
Yeah, the
Okay,
one-
but so you see them how often now?
now I'm probably gonna see them now during school holidays,
Almost
or one weekend.
because they close.
Yeah, or one weekend before schools close, and
It's
then
a
get
very
them for
interesting
school
story. I
holidays.
didn't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, in fact, yesterday we were talking with one of the panelists here that sometimes dads would take the kids over the weekends, but they will also take them to the grandmom. So when do you really spend time? I haven't heard that actually, and I've seen this in the community where I come from, that sometimes, young girls would have kids and just keep outsourcing parenting to the
Yes.
gogo or to the aunt or grandmom.
Yeah.
And but in this particular situation, there was a specific reason she
yeah.
did that, and I'm
Yeah.
glad they are back now.
Because they were not even communicating. Because when I told her, because when they send me voice notes, I would forward them to her. But, hey, listen to what
That's
Bandit
what-
is saying. Hey, this
yes.
boy is smart. Listen to what. Then she'd be like, hey, you talk to them. I talk to them every day.
Why is she
Then
surprised?
she's like, that's fine, because I don't get to talk to them now.
Oh, really?
I'm like, how? How? Because they're with your mom and you took them there. then
And
you
they're
can't talk to-
accessible, yeah.
Hey, it's because maybe they had this quarrel between
Oh,
the
so
both
they had
of them.
issues
Yeah, they
between
had issues
themselves.
between them. But then last day at least she went to Northwest, because I told her, which hasn't, this thing is not right. You guys are not talking, because now it's affecting
You
the
must
boys.
find each other,
The boys.
yes.
Find a way, because that's your mom.
How is their
Yeah.
relationship now?
Now they are okay, because she went there and she
They had a
spoke to
talk.
her, following
Okay.
my advice. She spoke to her, they had a talk, and now they are fine. That's how she was able to take the kids again and then stay with them. But now they are fine. 'cause
And now
they-
the
they-
situation is
yeah,
much better.
it's much-
I want
much
us to
better.
touch on this. You've got there's a passage at the back of the book, and we're going to close our conversation soon. But you included a ludicrous poem at the back there. I wanna just make a reference to it here. It says, "I finally realized that I'm worth it, and I'm not defined by my past." Just a warning to you: God still holds you accountable for the soul He placed in your care. I wanted to highlight that, and then relating back to your story, your journey is quite phenomenal and it's quite inspirational as well. Why did you choose that poem? And I read most of it just now again this morning.
So remember, my dad was an absent father,
Mm-hmm.
and when my dad passed away, like 1 year or 2 years after I published my first book,
Yeah.
we sat together with friends. There was 3 of us. It's me and Utabo and Promise. That poem was written by Promise Modise.
Yes.
Then we were trying to put together a book, a poetry collection book.
Sure.
That never went well, because I ended up leaving Tembisa, going to Davidton, and
Yeah.
there was no communication between us. So, but as I was thinking about the idea for this book, I called Promise. I said, Promise, there's this poem, man, because I would read all the poems they wrote.
Yeah.
Then that poem caught me, like, ludicrous. Then I'm like, okay, let me read. And then I realized this is a poem about
And
fatherhood.
it made sense, and
It
it's
made
about
sense.
fatherhood. Yeah.
It made sense, and I had just finished writing this book. I'm like, to Promise, can I put this poem? Can I conclude my book with this poem? It sounds perfect. It
Yeah.
make a perfect conclusion to my book. I told her about the book. I'm planning on writing a book about fatherhood. I'm going to call it The Imperfect Father,
Yeah.
and blah, 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 blah. Then she was like, Mcho, that's a great idea. I said, okay, when I'm ready to publish the book, I will put that poem in my book. And she
Yeah.
gave me permission to put that poem.
That's
Because that
great.
book we were working on didn't work. And then I said, immediately pull one poem from that book.
That's great.
We were writing, then I put it there.
Yeah.
And then-
I want to say to people watching, actually this book, and I really would recommend it. It's available online, and there are also digital copies, and I encourage all fathers, married or unmarried, to get a copy and then subscribe to our page to our YouTube page. The book is actually there, and then we give instructions how you get a copy. It's got 10 principles
Yes.
of how to become a better dad or a great dad. I want to close with this. You've worked with us now in this network for a while, since October, September last year, as our social media manager. How would you advise other single dads out there to leverage on a network like this one, and maybe other support groups about fatherhood, to find information, to allow themselves to be vulnerable, to interact, socialize with other dads, to basically drink from the same fountain? Any advice that you would give them?
I like the Single Dads Network because I remember when you came, I think at Valley's office, and then when you started mentioning the Single Dads Network, it's actually an idea I had when I wrote this book.
Oh, okay.
Because I had this idea, which every year on Father's Day, there must be an event where we put all men in one room.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we share our.
And it's
our
happening
lessons.
in June this year.
Yeah, and that must happen. So,
Yes.
so then when you came, like your idea and my idea linked.
Wow.
And I remember I even
I
showed
remember
you
that
same time I just pulled out my book and said, I have this book. Then you were like, and like
I couldn't believe
I
it.
felt like the universe was putting us together some way or somehow.
Exactly.
So the Single Dad Network is the best because I went through the website when you shared the website with me. I read everything there. And as a father, you need to, like I said, if you want the world to change, if you want your kids to change, even if you want your co-parent to change, you must change.
Start with yourself.
Starts with you, like Mahatma Gandhi said. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
It starts with yourself. And there's a quote by William Shakespeare that says, it's accredited to him. Even when you search on Google, I see his name next to that quote. It says, when a father gives to his child,
Yeah.
both laugh.
Wow.
When a son gives to his father, both cry.
Cry. Okay.
You can only feel that emotion
I think that's powerful
if you are present.
in the child's life.
If you are not present, you don't even dare take credit for
I
something.
like that thing that you shared on
Yeah.
TikTok that said, I think it's a reel or a short that says, don't send gifts, don't send money,
Yes.
but send yourself.
Send yourself.
It's about giving attention and time to the child.
Kids want you.
And it says that a true love is through being there yourself as a father.
Being present. Your kids
Then-
want you. They want your presence. They don't want your presence. They
don't want your
you.
gifts, yes.
So, but be present and also remember, Uti, we are not putting away other stuff that is to do with responsibility, and also know that
But you want to prioritize
they need,
them
they
as
need
well.
to eat.
Yeah.
They need to be protected. And for them to eat, you need to take care of yourself. Change yourself
appreciate that.
so you can change your situation. And whenever you face challenges, just tell yourself, Uti, ask yourself this question: what blessing do I see in this?
In this.
Yeah,
And then,
'cause when you work-
because you want them to emulate
Yes.
you as
When
well.
you work on yourself as a father, you inspire your kids to work on themselves, and they will grow up and they'll want to model you. You must
And
be the
emulate
first
you.
role model for
I
your
like
kids.
that.
They must not go outside and look for celebrities as role
Should be
models.
you.
They should see you. I'm telling you, when my
Appreciate
kids watch this, they'll be happy.
They're gonna be
They will never
inspired.
forget this moment.
Yeah.
They'll be inspired.
My friend,
Yes.
thank you so much for coming out today. I really appreciate your time. We're going to talk soon.
Thank you, sir.
Cheers. Thanks.
Yeah.